Good morning. This is Stephen again. Hey, I wanted to tell you all great job last night in class. Each one of you, I could tell, had practiced and have worked really hard, and you all did a great job last night, and wanted to just say thank you for doing that and putting the time in to learn this great instrument called the guitar. It is my favorite instrument. I got started playing when I was 17. And so a lot of you have a jump start on the age that I had, or the age that I was when I started. And so if you just keep working hard, keep working at it, you'll do great. And I'm really excited to teach you over the next few weeks a little bit more about this instrument. So wanted to just recap a couple of things. Yesterday we learned the D chord and the A chord. If you'll remember, Joe showed you those things, those chords, and wanted to just recap that for you. So let's start with the D chord. And the D chord looks like this. Now remember, we jumped from using one finger to three fingers, and so that may have been a little bit intimidating for you all, but you all did really well in class. So let's just recap that. So your D chord, and remember, this is written on those chord sheets that I handed out to you, so those should be in your folders. Be sure and use those as a reference and look at those. But your D chord is going to look like this. So you're going to have your second finger on the second fret of the first string. Okay, so that's your middle finger right there. Your first finger is going to be on the third string, second fret. So that's what that looks like right there. Now when you start using three fingers, they're going to be fighting for space in the fret. So especially on the A chord later, but on the D chord it's not too bad. So those are those two fingers, and then your third finger goes on the second string, third fret. Okay, so one here, second finger here, third finger here. So you're spanning second and third frets. Okay. Now also, if you look on your chord sheets, you'll notice that there are X's up at the top above the nut. There are X's above the sixth string and the fifth string. That means you do not play those. Okay, here's the sound difference. If you play it correctly, so you just play the first four strings, it sounds like this. If you were to accidentally play all six strings, it would sound like this. Here, it sounds a little off. That's called dissonance, when you have two notes that are really close together and they don't harmonize, they don't sound well together. So this is the incorrect way to play it. It's all six strings. You want to play it correctly with just the bottom four strings, like this. Hear that? That's the D chord. All right, well, let's play. Let's do 8 strums together. I'm going to give you a 4-count intro, and then we're going to strum 4 times together, okay? So let's make sure we've got our fingers in the correct spot. All right, here we go. 1, 2, ready, strum. All right. Now, for some of you, it may not sound that clear, and that is because I'm pressing down pretty hard, and that's what you have to do. If you can see the tips of my fingers, you see how I have indentions there. So even I, who have been playing since I was 17, so that's 23 years now, I still get indentions on there. Now they don't hurt, but they still press in. But you can see how hard I'm pressing. So if you don't press in on the strings with the right tension, then it'll sound like this. You hear that buzzing or just a muted sound. Some of your guitars probably sound like that, but that's because I'm not pushing hard enough. Now if I press harder, it starts to clear up. Now I'm pressing harder with my left hand. Hear how that has cleared up now versus this sound. Okay, that's your left hand. So you got to really concentrate on that left hand and pressing down. It's going to hurt at first. Don't get discouraged. If it starts to hurt, just put it away. Put the guitar down for a little bit, let your fingers rest, and then come back and play again. But I promise it will get better, and your fingers, you'll get to where you don't even feel anymore. Okay, so that was the D chord. Now let's go over the A chord. Now the way that we learn it in class is just one of many ways to play an A chord. A major chord. And so, you know, like I said in class, if you encounter someone that says, oh, that's not how you play the A chord, then you can say, well, that's one of many ways to play it. And if they want to show you a new way to play it, that's great. But for class, we are going to play it this specific way. And then that's just to teach you good form. And if you want to play it another way, you can learn it that way. So the way we learned in class is your first finger goes on the 4th string on the 2nd fret. Now all of these are going to go on the 2nd fret. So that means your fingers are going to be really squished all in just this one block right here. Okay? This one block has to fit all 3 fingers on 3 strings that are next to each other. So the strings aren't even spaced. So first finger, 4th string, 2nd fret, 2nd finger, 3rd string, 2nd fret, and 3rd finger, 2nd string, 2nd fret. Now, there's a little trick. So the tendency is to put them all side by side. And see how my fingers don't even fit all in there because I'm pushing on top of the fret, the metal fret. Remember I told you don't really want to do that, otherwise the string will be muted. One way that you can change this is by changing the angle of your hand. So they're all together. Now if you just rotate your hand just a little bit and bring your hand out and let the tips of your fingers, and you put it at a little bit of a diagonal. See how my fingers are a little bit of a diagonal? They will fit better, and then it will sound better. So listen, that's an A chord. Now if I let my fingers stay straight, it won't sound as good. It'll sound like this. It's a little more dull sounding. I can get away with it, but it doesn't sound nearly as clear. Okay, so a little bit of a diagonal, and yeah, the sides of your fingers are going to squish, and it almost looks like your fingernails are touching each other, but that's okay. There we go. Alright, so let's try that. Let's strum 8 times, and I'll give you a 4-count intro. Alright, 1, 2, ready, strum. Alright. Next, what I want to do is transition, so we're going to go from the D to the A chord. Alright, so we're going to do 4 strums each we're going to do 4 strums on D, then we're going to transition and go to 4 strums on A. Now remember, as I mentioned last night, the most important thing is that you keep a steady rhythm. So it doesn't matter how slow you go, you keep a steady rhythm and have no pauses between the transition. And remember, the trick I told you is that when you're strumming, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you wait and start thinking about transitioning to A on the 4th beat or on the 4th strum, or even after that, you're not going to make it to strum the A on the downbeat on 1. So you're going to be behind already. So the trick is, you already know you're strumming, you know how to do that. So when you hit the 3rd strum, so like 1, 2, when I strum 3, I'm already thinking about where my fingers are going to go and where they're going to move to make the A chord, okay? So that way I can be thinking about it, and then as soon as I hit that 4th strum, I can move, and when I go back down to 1, I'm on the A already, okay? So let's try that. I'm going to go a little slower this time because we are making that transition, and we are using 3-finger chords instead of 1-finger chords, so it is going to be harder. Remember, take your time when you do this, okay? Here we go. I'm going to go slow so you can follow along. 1, 2, ready, strum. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. And one other thing is your thumb placement on your left hand. It's really important that you use your thumb to help squeeze the neck and push down on the strings. If you put your thumb down here and you just try to push with your fingers, all you're going to do is push the guitar back, and you're really not going to get pressure on the strings properly. So what you want to do is use your thumb on the back, and to help squeeze and push in. So you see how my thumb is on the back here? I'm using that to push against the neck and then squeeze. Just like when you give someone a handshake, a good handshake, you reach out and you don't just squeeze with your fingers, you also squeeze with your thumb, and you grip their hand and shake. Same thing with the guitar, okay? Use that thumb to help squeeze and get good pressure on the strings. All right, well, that does it for today. Thank you again for attending our lessons, and feel free to give me a call. You have my information, email, text, whatever you need to do over the next couple weeks before our next lesson. Be more than glad to help you out. All right, thanks a lot. Goodbye.